In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, we're going to talk about Rutgers, Illinois. I know the game kind of fell under the radar because of the NBA trade deadline, but we didn't forget. So we're going to talk about Rutgers versus Illinois. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. It is Friday, February 7th, the day after a wild and crazy trade deadline that saw a bunch of stars move, a bunch of picks get exchanged. I mean, the Charlotte Hornets got like a gazillion picks now. So do the Washington Wizards. But we are here to talk about some players that could be in the 2025 NBA draft, maybe even 26 for one particular player. But before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Check out the Locked On newsletter at lockedondaily.com. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my co-host, who happens to be my younger brother, James. First off, real quick, what did you think about the trade deadline?
I still don't believe that Luka got traded. I don't know what the Bulls are doing. They got like 8 point guards and one center, and they got Matas and Patrick Williams and no picks. I think the Kings did what they had to do to try to, tread water. But it was interesting, man. Interesting to see how everything is going to work.
Yeah, from a pick standpoint, Charlotte is absolutely loaded with picks. And then the Washington Wizards ended up getting a first-round pick to take Marcus Smart. And remember, I wish I could find the person. Remember we was talking about Marcus Smart, how he washed. I don't want to say he was washed, but, we was saying like, Jalen Wells need that spot. Marcus Smart does not need that rotation spot. Jalen Wells is, probably maybe all. I know he's going to be all rookie, maybe rookie of the year. And they had to attach a first round pick to get rid of Marcus Smart. I don't know what's going on with him. I know he was overweight for real in the preseason. I just think Boston winning a championship, I think it crushed his spirit, man. He was on a contender. He was on a good Memphis team this year.
He won Defensive Player of the Year, had to guard Steph. And then, they flipped him, and he ain't been the same since.
And then they won. So, but who knows what happens with him in D.C. Are they going to play him or what? But they got a first-round pick. I mean, I think what the Wizards are doing is pretty smart as far as, you're trying to bring in veterans. Well, him coming out of shape and all that, I don't know if that's like very good leadership and all that, but I think bringing Middleton on,
keeping Brogdon,
yeah, I mean, you kind of basically you keep some veterans, you keep some grown-ups in the locker room, keep some control, teach guys how to be professionals while you're adding picks. And so I think what the Washington Wizards, and I like what the Charlotte Hornets are doing. I actually do like what the Hornets are doing. They have a lot of picks. I mean, they almost have like an OKC stash of picks. But I wonder, are they going to be the next team that does something like very unpopular by trading LaMelo Ball? Because everything people were saying about Luka, other than the fact that Luka was 270, which clearly was a lie, I have heard some things about LaMelo as far as like his habits, as far as just being injury prone and so on. So I wonder, do they make the unpopular decision to move him? But they got a lot of picks, a lot of picks. But let's talk about the 2025 NBA draft. All right, Rutgers versus Illinois. I guess it was Wednesday night. I don't know, a couple of days ago. Everybody was knee deep into trade deadline coverage. Part of the reason why we did the episode on the sleepers, we kind of snuck that in there for the diehards. I thought it was 2 good episodes, uncovered some gems that a lot of people aren't talking about. But let's talk about Rutgers, Illinois. Dylan Harper versus Kasparas Jakucionis was the matchup. that I was looking forward to seeing, and it was a dud.
For who?
I mean, as far as from like a matchup, like, I'm thinking it's going to be a duel. Arguably, in most people that I see online, these are the top 2 point guards in the 2025 NBA draft, and it was very, very one-sided. Dylan Harper finished with 28 points on 7 of 15 shooting. Also had 6 rebounds, 5 assists. While Jakucionis struggled, 7 points, 2 of 8 from the floor, and 4 fouls. Only had 2 assists and 3 turnovers. So I'll start with Harper. It was like his first game back. Like he had a month where I think he had maybe one Dylan Harper-like performance over the last month. Ankle injury and along with illness has kind of taken some of the shine off of what he's done this season. But when it came to this Illinois matchup, even though they didn't really guard each other like I was hoping, Dylan Harper showed why, to me, he's the, without a doubt, number 2 prospect in this draft.
Shout out to Dylan Harper, because there, the internet could have been saying, he could have packed it in for the season. He solidified his role or solidified his draft spot at number 2. But in my opinion, I think he came back and circled this matchup and was like, you know what, for whatever I got, I'm going to give it to you because I need you to show that this dude is not better than me. And he played extremely well. And like you said, you read off the stats, 28 points. He made big plays down the stretch. And he had no energy, Ralph. Like, he was gassed. He looked like flu game Jordan. There was a couple of plays where he made a play, he'd get to the basket, and then he'd get back, and then both hands on his knees. Like, he was tired. He was getting subbed out due to fatigue. So him coming back, him putting on this kind of performance, every game Rutgers plays is a must-win game. So him having this kind of performance, like, it really shows you his basketball character. Because he could easily just like, my ankle hurt, man. I'm cool. I'm done. Or let me come back a little later. But he came back for the Illinois game. He dominated his matchup. He was the reason why they won. Like, shout out to Dylan Harper. Again, slick pick and rolls. I think at least the commentators have made it seem like they are starting to realize that he is a great athlete. It doesn't always have to look like Anthony Edwards, Amin Thompson for you to be a great athlete, but like, he showed you change of pace. And then, he is 4 inches taller than Kylan Boswell, but Kylan Boswell's a great defender, and he basically got what he wanted on him. So Dylan Harper's legit. He's been number 2 for me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was a statement game just because he just showed, like, this guy's not on my level. It's not even close. And I think that, like, to me, I never thought it was even close. Like, for me,
I didn't.
Jakucionis was a guy that, and I'll do a series later on, it might be coming up this week or next week, guys that are hard for me to evaluate. And I wrote an article on NBA Big Board, and Jakucionis is like A1, number 1 guy on players that are hard for me to evaluate. Entering the season, I had him at number 15 on my big board. Then I did a mock draft in January, and I had him as high as number 4. And then it's like shots that he was making aren't falling now. And then it has magnified some of the concerns that I had. Now, I will say this much. I know he had like a forearm injury, and he's kind of struggled with his shooting since the forearm injury, which, adding context to it, but he doesn't really get separation. That's something that you've been screaming to me all year long, and now it is becoming evident. All right, up next, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into Kasparas Jakucionis and what to think of his game right now. Are we overreacting? Because for me, I think that his lack of burst and the high turnovers makes him a very, very difficult eval. So I want to hear what James thinks about Jakucionis. And then we're going to talk about Ace Bailey and Will Riley. And I thought they had some really good moments in this game. With Robinhood Gold, you can enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Now, investing involves risk. Rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate. Claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member of the SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, second segment, Kasparas Jakucionis. Like I said, 7 points. He had 2 assists, 3 turnovers, was 2 of 8 from the floor. What did you see from Jakucionis in this particular game that may make you pause? Or is it something where you're like, hey, it was a bad game. Bad games happen. We like Ace Bailey. He has great games and he has bad games. It's just, it's just up and down. And you can say that for quite a few freshmen. So
that's basketball in general. Especially for 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. You're going to have good games. You're going to have bad games. I'm not going to harp too much on I'm not burying Kasparas for this bad game, but I've had my concerns even when he looked unreal. So just let me read some stats for you. Since Big Ten played again, I understand he's had an injury. So maybe that is the reason why. But Big Ten played 9 games. He is 43% shooting from the field. It's not bad. 24% from 3 on 5 attempts. He's averaging 5 rebounds. We know he gets to it on the glass. That's great. He's averaging 5 assists. That's really, really good. And 3.4 turnovers on 13.7% or 13.7 points per game, 54% true shooting percentage. He is.
I want to add something.
Go ahead.
3.4 turnovers in Big Ten play is actually slightly down from turnovers on the season. On the season, he's averaging 3.7 turnovers.
And they've played some good non-conference games too. So it wasn't like he was turning it over against, Northwest.
3.7 turnovers. That, whether you are playing in the NBA competition or not, that is an alarming number of turnovers.
Well, here, and I mentioned this on the Sleepers pod that we had, right? Because I don't feel like he is super dynamic as far as scoring the ball, and will be able to score at the next level at a dynamic rate, or however you want to say it. His turnovers are alarming because he is somebody, I think, because he has athletic limitations, individual scoring limitations. I think he has to take care of the ball on some Tyus Jones type stuff, because he's not on this pod, but I am a big Jeremiah Fears fan, and he's been up and down just like anybody else too. His turnovers are equally as concerning, but I feel like because he has potential to be a dynamic scorer, because he can get his own shot, create his own shot, I think that they're not necessarily more leeway, but he will have more scoring to make up for him being a high turnover guy until he figures it out. I think that Jakucionis being a high turnover guy, with him being just like a complimentary piece, is an alarming thing to me. But again, the talent is there. I want to say the turnovers that he had against Rutgers were, while he is a good passer, he does get off the ground to make passes, and some of these reads are like predetermined reads, and that's a concern. But I've had concerns about Kasparas. Now, I think I've had him as high as 4. I even mentioned we did the podcast, I want to say a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where I said, is he in play for number 3? I mentioned him. I said I wouldn't do it at 3, but I understand that he was very high on other people's boards. But I think he's going to be a top 10 pick. But like I'll say it for the listeners who have never heard me say it, I think he is a 10-year vet, but he is ultimately a high level old Mike Conley type of point guard, not a lead point guard, not your franchise point guard.
Yeah, he's just a tough eval for me. Tough eval because I like point guards that can get 2 feet in the paint. To me, I think that's what the NBA is all about. Either you're like a really, really good game manager, which means you have to take care of the ball, or you need to be able to get 2 feet in the paint consistently, draw 2 defenders.
So you can see he's stuck in between 2 worlds.
I think he's stuck in between 2 worlds
really well, and he also doesn't get 2 feet in the paint at will.
But what makes him tricky is that he gets to the foul line as if he gets 2 feet in the paint. Like, he knows how to draw fouls. Yes, he's drawing them on like the pump fakes and he's getting fouled, shooting jumpers. But what makes him a tough eval for me, and we could talk about this in a tough eval episode, but what makes him tough for me is that he is heavily reliant on the step back.
Like Lonzo was. Falling, yes.
It kind of makes it a little bit difficult. But he does get to the foul line. I love the competitive fire. He rebounds. I like the vision. I like the confidence. I like the fact that, you know, he's not afraid to fail. He is going to squeeze that tight pass or that pass in those tight spaces.
I don't know, man. I think he's a good passer. I think he almost gets the rep for being a great passer.
I never said he was a great passer.
I think he's a good passer. And I'm not just talking about turnovers, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just talking about the reads that he makes. Does he make some skip passes? Yes. But I don't think he's a great passer.
I mean, he's not Yegor.
Exactly. That's better. He's not Yegor.
He's not Yegor.
But Yegor is a great passer right now.
He's a good passer. I mean, you were there when the scout we were talking to said if Yegor entered the NBA right now, he thinks he's at least a top 15 passer. But yeah, Jakucionis, again, struggled 2 of 8. And again, I'm going to add the context. I know that he had an injury. I know he missed the game, but he's had multiple games in single digits against Ohio State, 8 points. Now, he did have an 18-point game against Nebraska, but he was 6 of 15 from the floor. And it was a game where 10 of his 15 shots were threes. Then he had a game against Northwestern where he had 11 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. They won that game, but I was concerned because half of his shots were threes.
So what's that got to do with a forearm injury? So maybe the injury isn't, like he just doesn't generate a lot of paint touches.
Well, that's the thing. If there is a forearm injury, right? And
so he's not going to the basket because
the shot isn't, there's something wrong with the shot. Like he doesn't have it where he can say like, man, I can't really shoot it today. So I'm just going to generate a bunch of paint touches and get in the paint. He doesn't necessarily have that. Back to this game, I just thought it was a statement game for Dylan Harper to let the world know that there is a huge gap in point guards. Yes, it's just one game. I know that. But for the world to see, it is a huge gap between point guards in this draft class. And Dylan Harper is head and shoulders, in my opinion, above any other point guard in this class. He's the only one that I feel like I'm certain about. All the other guards, especially the ones in the SEC, man, they can look good one game, they can go 1 for 9 the next game. They can look good, and then they have games where they really look like they are an 18-year-old freshman. And then I just wonder, like, all right, next year in the NBA, which of these young point guards is actually going to get some playing time if it's not like a team clearing out the decks for them?
Well, I mean, you got to look at it like you're going to get a couple years. I mean, think about Portland has won, 10 in a row, 10 out of 11, and Scoot looks like he's finally figuring it out. So it takes.
You knew he was going to play. You knew that he had to play because of where he went. If you're like the 14th pick, like you may not be in a situation where they're going to like play you.
And if you get drafted by Chicago, man, you an 8th-string point guard, man.
I mean, there's a lot of teams, and that's why this is so tricky with this NIL thing. You can say, hey, do I want to go make as a high-level point guard? Do I want to make $1 million or more and play 30 minutes in college? Or do I want to go to the NBA and then start the clock for the second contract?
I'm going to the NBA every single time. I feel like I'm there and I can get better. But yeah, sure, I'll probably spend time in the G League, but like that's okay. Like I can get the 30 minutes in the G League, still cash an NBA check. And then again, this 2026 draft is supposed to be better than 2025. This time next year, you gotta have picks. And then I'm gonna get that call up and I'm gonna show you that I'm nice in April. Like I'm not gonna go back to school so you can find out that I really can't shoot or I really turn the rock over still. Or like I really don't do this or really don't do that. And then my value has tanked even more because I decided to take short-term money. Nah, brother, I'm going.
It depends. There's risk. I mean, I would say it worked out for Jaden Ivey. I think he's an example of a guy that it worked out for. All right, up next, we got to talk about Ace Bailey. Ace has been like up, down, hot, like scorching hot or ice cold. And this was a game where he was like in the middle. How weird is that? Stay tuned. Are you looking for tickets for your next event? Whether it's a concert, comedy show, or a sporting event, finding the right ticket at the right price can absolutely be a headache. But with Game Time Picks, it has never been easier. With Game Time Picks, the app does all the work for you. It curates the best deal, so you don't have to waste time searching for endless ticket listings. And the best part, you are covered with Game Time's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund you 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, last segment. Ace Bailey. I mean, what can we say about Ace Bailey? When it comes to being hot, I've said it before, the rim looks like the size of the ocean. And when it's cold, the rim looks like he's trying to shoot a basketball through a Cheerio because when he's hot, it's some exciting basketball.
Let me read off his last 5 games. Just quick field goal attempts. All right, Illinois 7-13. That was actually a good game. Michigan 3 for 15. Northwestern 13 of 20. Michigan State 4 of 17. Penn State 13 of 15. So he's up and down. I guess his last game against Illinois was like an even. He started off really hot. And I want to say like in the first half, it was him. And then the second half, it was Dylan Harper. Ace is good, man. He's getting to the foul line, beat those terrible free throw shooting allegations. He think he's made what? His last 24 free throws?
No, he missed 2. He missed 2 against Michigan. He was 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, he missed 2. Okay, so but even still, like at one point he was a sub 60% free throw shooter. He did have 11 rebounds. I do like the way that he competes on the glass. 2 assists, 3 blocks. Ace is good. I think he is with the way that, and it's almost a statement game for him too, right? He should be firmly locked into 3 right about now. But if there were ever any doubts,
I've been saying that. I don't know why it was even a debate.
If there were ever any doubts between would you take Kasparas at 3 over Ace? Well, I mean, Ace clearly he won his matchup too, even though they don't match up against each other. But Ace is good, man. Like I said, when he's catching and shooting, I think it's going in. When he puts the ball,
you were bugging even mentioning Jakucionis.
No, I told you I wouldn't do that personally. I said I'm going to open up a dialogue around a few other guys, and I'm talking about people that I've seen on the internet as well. Not me. I wouldn't have done it. I told you I think Ace has all-star potential, but I think that there's things that need to really, really change about his game, and he may be a playing off the ball guy more than a playing on the ball guy. right? And you can still be an all-star level. I wasn't ever saying that Jakucionis was a franchise point guard that I would take him at 3. No, that was never me. But Ace looks good. He did have 2 assists. He had a play. I don't know I can't remember if it was in a pick and roll, but he hit, man, the Rutgers big. He looked just like Dylan Harper. I forget his name on the top of my head, but he hit him. He missed the play. I think Ace ultimately, again, that's your 3rd pick in the right situation where you can tighten up the handle, get the strength, work on, not to say he has a low IQ, but work on some IQ things as far as like vision and seeing the second line of defense. He has all the talent in the world. So Ace Bailey was really good, and he is the 3rd pick in this draft. So again, now somebody may still say Malowich might entertain it, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting game for Bailey because, again, he got off to a hot start. He finished with 18, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, made his free throws. He man, like the waves with him, and I'm not an emotional guy, but I could see if you were like an emotional evaluator, Ace probably makes you pull your hair out because he has like streaks where he's like crazy hot from 3, and then he's missed like his last 10 threes, but now he's making his free throws. He's a lock at number 3. Love the rebounding. The weak side shot blocking is something that I think is real. 20 points, 8 rebounds a game, 1 assist. He's up to 1 assist per game now.
That's good.
Shooting 38% from 3, 1.4 blocks per game. Statistically, again, I don't even know why there is even chatter or a debate or people are divisive about him. I'm going to read these stats out. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 47% from the floor, 38% from 3. The free throw shooting is creeping back up to respectable range as he's at 70% from the foul line. And you're getting 2.4 stocks per game. Like, I don't even know.
It's not about the stats. It's about what exactly, not exactly, but how a heavy isolation 2 dribble limit guy translates in the NBA. That's how it boils down. You're not going to question his rebounding. You're not going to question him being able to defend, right? And you're not questioning him shooting. It's just how much of it works if we're taking him. Let's say somebody was entertaining him at 2, right? Has he shown you enough where you can look and see, like, you know what, we'll be able to put him in pick and roll action? That's what I'm saying. The stats are going to be great.
He doesn't have to. You're not putting Michael Porter Jr. in pick and roll action, are you? And he's shown.
But here's I'm the one that said I really
did post. Like
I'm the one that said that I like the Michael Porter Jr. comparison. Yeah, so I don't have an issue with that. I'm just saying, like, it's the turnaround jumpers that people love that he does make is a heavy diet of that going to get you wins in the NBA. That's why I can't put him at 2. Now at 3, again, if you told me I'm gonna get a Michael Porter Jr. type player at 3, and I already got some really good guys there, I will take that.
Yeah, I just think people are overthinking it. Yes, he's got some areas he needs to work on. Very fixable. The handle, fixable. Strength, fixable. I mean, to me, he looks like he's shown that he's gotten stronger in season. He's posting up guys. He's getting the ball in the mid post, and he's getting a little bit closer to his spots. Before, he wasn't posting up. I think the shot selection has improved some.
It has.
I'm an irrational confidence guy. I love guys that have a lot of confidence. And I think at the very minimum in the NBA, you can say, all right, early in your career, you're going to play a role as a shooter and a guy that can attack, close out, and then get to your 1 dribble, 2 dribble pull up. All right. Then once you get stronger, we're going to let you post up on mismatches. If teams switch, you can post up, elevate, rise over the top of smaller guys.
Listen, I have no issue with anything that you just said. But again, if I am drafting 1, this is me, 1 or 2, I need scoring, defense, and very visible signs of playmaking right now. And that's why Flag is obviously ahead. Dylan Harper is obviously ahead.
How many assists did KD average as a freshman?
As a freshman, I don't know at the top of my head, but
like
I know
one.
But I know. Hold on. But here's the thing: KD as a freshman had not point forward skills. He had handles where he got to the basket. He could get shots off the dribble. Like the only thing he was missing was muscles. Now, again, he's grown as a playmaker, but he was a matchup nightmare because he didn't catch the ball in the pinch post every possession. He caught the ball and it was handling at the top of the key. That's the thing.
I'm talking about passing. I'm not talking about ball handling. I'm talking about KD he's a respectable passer.
He's definitely grown as a passer and playmaker.
And he had pros on his team, and he was like getting 1 assist per game. He had DJ Augustine, I think PJ Tucker, then the big fella that played for the Heat that LeBron called to put that hit out on Lance Stevenson.
Yeah. Hopefully, I forgot the big fella's name. I know you're talking about Dexter Pittman, I believe his name is. Yeah, but the thing is, the KD had the handle to get every kind of shot, whereas Ace has a handle.
I'm talking about the passing, though. I ain't talking about the handle.
I'm not talking about the pass, and I'm not comparing Ace Bailey to KD.
But I'm saying like the passing, KD didn't put up a lot of assists as a freshman. No. All right, let's switch to Will Riley. Will Riley got off to a hot start, and then he struggled. I was at a game where he just looked like he was just physically not ready to compete in Big Ten basketball. He's still skinny. He still may struggle with physicality, but I think he's trending in the right direction. He had a strong game with 18 points against Rutgers, and that is a follow-up to a 24-point game he had against Ohio State. Then he also had a 16-point game against Nebraska. We're talking 6'8". They got him listed at $180. That is slim cut of Calhoun. But the shot making at 6'8". Now he is a 6'8" wing ball handler that fits the archetype that people like. But he is a sneaky good passer. Like the numbers may not show it, a little under 2 assists per game, but he's a sneaky good passer that makes some good reads. I know he had a couple nice passes in the Rutgers game. I dropped him off my board. I thought, you know what? He probably needs to come back to school. But now, if he can continue to put up games like he had against Rutgers and how he's played over these last 3 games, I think you have to mention him as a potential first-round pick.
Yeah, I entertain him in the late first round. I still see in the Big Ten play, he has struggled. He's shooting
big time.
38% from the field, 30% from 3. He struggled. He needs a lot of weight room, a lot of steaks, a lot of potatoes. But if he were to, I would test if I were him. Right?
Yeah, I think he's going to test. One of the things that was interesting is over the last 2 games, he's got to the foul line 17 times. So that
I wonder how many times he's been fouled shooting threes, because him and Jakucionis got that cheat code where they get fouled shooting threes a lot. And I mean, that's free. You get fouled shooting a 3 twice. Man, like he was getting to the rack like crazy if I didn't watch the game.
You looking like Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
as far as racking up free throw attempts. But yeah, in this game, he had 6 assists. That was the most impressive thing for me.
You know, when we saw him at Basketball Without Borders, he was not passing the ball ever. And even in some of his summer film, I was like, man, this dude don't pass. But he's actually
I thought it was the opposite. When I watched his film in high school, I was like, dang, he can pass. But he went to a school where they were like double teaming him, but he was making them pay. He was finding, as you would call them, family men. He was finding those family men on the passes in high school. So I always thought that I shouldn't say always. I didn't think he could pass at first. But when I really watched his high school film, I was like, there's some passing instincts and feel there.
He's a good player, and I think he's probably a better shooter than the numbers indicate. But like I said, I would definitely test if I were him, and maybe because I think he could come back and improve his stock to be like a top 15 pick. But he's just been so up and down. Like he feasted early on Family Man U, and then the Big Ten he got off to a terrible start, and now he's starting to pick it back up.
Yeah, but I'd rather get hot. I'd rather get hot late. But you know it's going to be all downhill for him. I mean, his first game, he was 10 of 13 from the floor, had 31. Then he had 14 his next game. And then he just went through a stretch where he had like 5 points, 4 points, 7 points, 7 points, 5 points, 19 points, 0 points, 4 points. It's been a roller coaster. Now, one of the games against Maryland, he only played 17 minutes. But, yeah, I mean, he scored over 15 points over his last 3 games, a name to look out for. All right, real quick, Morris Johnson Jr., don't think he is a draft pick this year. He's a freshman. 6'9", 225. He is a player that I think we're going to be talking about as an NBA prospect down the line. He's averaging 7 points, 7 rebounds per game. Energy guy, but he has like the NBA body that teams are looking for. 6'9", 225. So he is a player that, again, in this game, I wouldn't say like he like dominated, but he showed some flashes. He had 11 points, 5 rebounds. But he's coming off the game against Ohio State where he had 14 points and 15 rebounds. A little undersized at 6'9", but he is the type of like energy guy, rebounder that I can see some NBA teams having some interest in. And maybe even testing the water this year because, you know, I think there's a spot in the NBA for that type of active rebounder. And he has the frame that teams would be interested in. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Check out the Locked On newsletter. I think I forgot to mention that. No. Once again, it's Rafael and James, and we are out of here.